Welcome to the dark side. Today in AI and C#, we are not going to do C#. We're going to join the dark side for a day and see how Microsoft Agent Framework works in Python. So here we are not in C#. We are in Visual Studio Code. And prior to doing this, I ended up installing Python. So why am I doing this? I just wanted to see everyone is talking about AI is best in Python, and why in the world are we using C#? And let's just see if it's actually easier to use this AI part in Python. So here's my journey on what happened. So I needed to install Python in VS Code. You have an extension for that. And then I made a file called main.py. Then, if we look at Microsoft Agent Framework's own page, it says we need to say pip install Agent Framework pre. I did that. That took a surprisingly long time. It seems like you download everything and not just different NuGet packages, but it took a couple of minutes and then it was done. And after the fact that it went pretty quickly. I have never written Python before. I might have made Hello World, but that's it. But this was actually surprisingly easy to work with. Not that I am going away from C#, don't worry. But we needed to do some imports instead of usings. So we got the OS, so we could get environment variables. We got an async IO, so we could do async and await. And then we, from Agent Framework .azure, since we're using Azure OpenAI in here, we got an Azure OpenAI chat client. Then we needed two more usings for some structured output. We'll see that. Because my goal here was to say, okay, can I make a chat? How can I do that with normal chat, with streaming? How is tools, and how is structured output? I wouldn't go further than that. RAG is probably a bigger thing to set up, but just to see, was it much smoother? Was it much more clunky? So let me show you. So the first thing is I'm just clearing the screen, and then I'm defining a client. So we're just ending up making a client with an endpoint, an API key, and a deployment name, meaning the model. This actually surprised me a little because it's very opinionated in that I don't need to have this line in place. And then it would just assume that there was an API key with an environment variable called this, in the same manner for an environment and in the same manner for a deployment name. So many of the samples from the team actually looks like this, and then you can explicitly specify it. It makes it very elegant to look at, but in my book, this is more easy to understand what's going on instead of needing to go to your environment variables in the system. But that's just a matter of opinion. But it was fairly elegant to look at, but also very confusing to someone who normally knows these should be set. And then I started making a chat. So I just got the client, and I, from the client, created an agent and gave instructions, and we have the normal stuff that we can do here in the system. So nothing special there. And then we, like in C#, we also make a thread, and then we do a while loop where we get some input. We put that into the input into the response, and we put out the response. So more or less the same. And when we run that, we can say hi, and we get our answers back. Streaming, sort of similar. Streaming sample. We do exactly the same, and then they, for stream, do something sync for chunk, and if the chunk is text, then they print it out with some appending system. But that's just Python for you. Tools is fairly simple as well. What I was really annoyed about was that I couldn't put this tool down at the bottom so I could show the 4 samples. Everything that you use need to be above. You could probably make some external references and so on. But I just have to end up putting the tool get wetter, normal stuff. And we just give the tools. And we don't need the AI factory like we do in C#. So this is a little more easy to do. But I then tested also the middleware. I've taken it out from this sample right now. But the middleware is also possible where you can interact if you should continue or not and print something out. I'll just do it up here right now. That was a bit more clunky to do and set up lots of extra imports and stuff, but nothing fancy. But else, that worked just the same. Try to run the streaming one. This also happens all the time when I run it, that it thinks it's wrong and then it's not for some reason. How to make soup. We get streaming back. Tools. Saves. You can see again, it fails. And then it works after. Yeah. It's something with not noticing the files has been changed or something. What is the weather like? Tool with Paris and like normal. The final one I wanted to do was structured output. Again, I would really much have liked to have these classes below, but I'm not allowed. They need to be above where they're used. Yeah. Kind of annoying, but that's probably Python for you. So the last one, we simply just say a response format in our agents, and that response format is just a class with a list of movies in it, and then everything runs again. So fairly simple. And we get some JSON back, and probably, of course, Python can turn that into some objects and stuff. So I would say it was more easy to do than I expected, given the fact I had never run this. AI definitely helped me a lot along the way to help how to write the syntax and stuff. I had seen a 5-minute video on how Python worked. So I'm surprised that it was as easy as it was, luckily, and that's good. At the same time, I can understand that this was very much more elegant than C# like 5 years ago. But C# have the same way of creating lists, have the same elegance parts now. So I think the gap between elegance and easy to understand and easy to get into have dropped a lot, because you still need a runtime, you still need an editor. So I think C# is just as easy, and I haven't seen anything here that make us stay on the dark side here. So we will go back to the light side in the next video where there will be more C#. Thank you.